Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar hosted by Companial on how to do demo. We really expect this to be an engaging webinar, so I hope that you will actively participate, you will ask questions, and you will help me do my job. As typically, I like to have panelists on board so that I can ask questions and they can answer, and that it's easier to run the webinar. The webinar of this type, just sharing the information, sharing what I know, providing some tips, is quite non-standard for me. And I see quite many names that I know joining. Welcome, Martin. On board, welcome Paulus, Ugne. I hope that you will all find the webinar valuable. Before we start in, as always, I would like not only to ask you what country are you joining from, but also share your background on whether are you joining from sales side or pre-sales senior consultancy side, meaning that you have a lot of experience with demoing solutions already, or maybe you are just starting to present software solutions for your customers. So let's go to Paul and let's see what audience do we have. Maybe that will help me rearrange questions or insights a little bit. So do we have some poll results already? Let me just check. Okay, so results are changing and changing quite fast, but I see quite many salespeople are joining, and also for other. I would like to understand what other does stand for. So the ones who voted for other, is that project managers? Is it consultants? Or what role? Please add it to chat. Okay. Yeah, I hope that during the webinar you will be much more likely to respond and share your opinions. We are a closed community, and this is a safe place to practice. Oh, I see. Project managers, revenue managers. Revenue manager, I have never heard about that. Consultants. Okay, so let's see if the information, the experience that we have will help you get better. Again, before we proceed even further, the rhetorical question is, do you believe that while making a good demonstration, solution demonstration, you can win a deal? And when I ask this question during the workshops, typically I get the very different opinions. There are people who say, not really. If you have a good solution, that you still win by the solution, or that, yes, of course, if you have a good demo, it is by the demo that you can win. The idea of the session that we have today and the idea of the trainings that we deliver and go step by step with the audience is that, of course, it's very hard and very unlikely that you will win on your demonstration only. Of course, the solution matters, your company experience matters, all the things that you have behind matters a lot. But then there are also small things, just like we have, well, here I have the picture of the medal, just like we have in various competitions. There is such a small difference between the one who gets the golden medal and the one that doesn't. And the difference lays in the small things. So today in the webinar, today we are going to focus on these small things that would enable you to become better at what you do today. As I'm pretty sure that if you are in the area, if you are presenting solution demonstrations for your customers already, you are already good at what you do. Otherwise, your company wouldn't trust you to do so. But there are always areas or little things that you could improve. And the goal is to find these little things and then start from here. This program is a special courtesy by Microsoft and Companial. And by Microsoft, of course, related to the release of Business Central SaaS new version. As typically every half of the year when the new version is out, we see a huge demand of customers asking, so how do I present the solution? How do I do demo? Just to set up the expectations, we will not be focusing on Business Central exclusively on this webinar. The principles that I'm going to show you or explain belong or relate to any software solution that you might be demonstrating for the customer. So these are generic, tips and generic basis for any solution. Uh, Today, we're going to get some tips, and then later on, you are more than welcome and more than encouraged to apply for one-on-one consultancy where we could review you practice the skill together with your sales team, and then we can see how can we improve. Are there any mistakes or errors that or bad habits that you are doing, and then see how can we move from there. So feedback collection, reviewing the solution is the second step of the program that I encourage you to apply afterwards. Now, why me? An important question, right? I started my career in the radio station, and even though I wasn't on the air too much, well, I still am one of the voice covers for many advertising campaigns. But being on the air or talking wasn't my thing. However, my thing was building messages and spreading it out. So building marketing campaign, making sure that the message is correct and reaches the audience in the best way. As it's not easy to put the message into 15 seconds of a commercial is not that easy of a task. And then after the radio station, I changed my background completely. I entered IT market. I joined one of the document management vendors in the Baltic states, where I was responsible for partner network, for building partner network, and teaching partners how to demonstrate the solution that we build. Afterwards, it was One Click Factory, which is the old name for Companial, where I was certified as one of the instructors to teach partners on how to deliver software demonstrations in a correct way, or what is the most powerful way to deliver software presentations. I will be very happy to share the experience that I have. Of course, it's not 1 hour is not enough, but if you have some specific questions, I would be more than happy to cover, even if it is later after the call on one-on-one. The next question is, of course, why Companial? At Companial, we are building community. We are focusing on growing Dynamics partner market. And by growing the market, it typically means that we are standing by you, our partners, each step of the way. Step Up, this is the new logo that we have after two companies merged, QBS, licensing professionals, and One Click Factory, technical services, to provide you with full spectrum of services that we have, helping you to become better and on how you sell dynamic solutions or power platform solutions is another area of trainings or consultancies that we provide. So this is very shortly on why do we do these kind of things and why do we help you build more business, more cloud business, most likely. We are working with partners only, so we are in no competition with you. And with this, so let us have a short look on where are we going to look for these areas to improve. What are the key things that any software demonstration includes and where you could improve? So first, these are demo crimes. Then structure of the demo presentation so that it's easier for the audience to follow. Engaging the audience, another tip. So how do we do that, especially if it is online engagement, especially if it is if you're doing that with a team and so on. Strong opening and closing, something that we see very typical and common for Dynamics partners, that they have a perfect demo presentation, yet not too much focus is put on the opening and closing, which are the most critical parts of the presentation. And lastly, improving personal skills of presenter. And okay, now then question to you again. I see quite many of you joining. Please let me do the best that I have, and let me know if you were to answer the question, who is more likely to make the mistakes, the demo crimes? Who would be more likely to do that? Junior persons or senior persons? What your guess is? Okay, let us see if we have some opinions. So most likely senior people would vote for junior people, and maybe vice versa. Senior people. Efrosini says senior people. Okay. So we have one opinion. So this opinion wins, but let us see what is in reality. As Democrats, the first topic that we are going to dive deep is probably the major piece of what we covered during the workshops. So what are these demo crimes? Demo crimes are just like ordinary crimes in the society. Just like we are not allowed to make crimes in the society, we are not allowed to make them during the presentations. These are every habit or things that we do that make our presentation less effective. And I will be ready. I'm ready to share what are these typical crimes. I'm pretty sure that the senior people have experienced them all already, or they can recognize either themselves or their colleagues. For junior people, it might be some kind of eye opener, so that to be aware that, okay, these are mistakes my colleagues have made. Most likely, I will see myself making, and I can prevent them happening. So Adam says the senior people too. Okay, let's start with the junior ones. So here's the list of most typical mistakes that we find junior people, also of course senior people as well, but they are more common for junior people behaving or taking during the presentation. The so what crime. If I asked you what this crime means, most likely you would respond immediately by saying the so what is the crime when you provide information without providing any value benefit for the customer. In reality, it means that we are talking and we are saying what is important for us, but not for the other side, not for the customer. An example, this is not really from software, it is from partner presentations in general, not from the software, from the demo side yet, is we are gold certified partner. Even though it might look like a very good benefit for the partner to say, because we know how hard it is to achieve such a competence, in reality, we can also ask the question, so what? So what is in there for me that you are a golden partner? So every time you make a claim or you make a statement during your presentation, and someone can ask the question or pull the paper in front of you saying, so what? So what for me as a customer? You can know straight away that you are making this most popular crime, the so what crime. Then, and this is really more typical for junior people, but also for senior people, who are faced with a new add-on and that they are not really familiar with. They got to know it, but they haven't familiarized with it yet. So field by fielder. As you might assume from the name only, this is when we open up the demonstration, we open up the solution, and we simply go from one tab to another, from one field to another, explaining what these fields mean. Again, are we showing the solution? Of course we are. Are we providing benefits and context? Well, not really. And in most cases, we are confusing the customer rather than sending our message clearly. The third mistake, might be data dump. This is when we feel unsecure delivering the software demonstration, and we have so much to share that we get so excited and that we dump information so that customer doesn't have time even to ask the question. So we are dumping information, talking ourselves. Customer is confused, yet we don't even double check whether they are still with us. Who is likely to make? Yes, of course, the most likely everybody, but more junior people than senior people. The widget syndrome. This is the lazy people habit, and we see that so many times happening. This is when we don't invest time to try to make our presentation as related or connected to the customer as possible, and we keep the names that doesn't mean anything to the customer. Let's say company A, company B, company C, instead of having either particular product lines for the particular customer, or having competitors name, something that would relate them to existing situation, and of course that would make customer feel and see that you did make the effort and that you did invest time preparing the software demonstration. Yeah, the next demo crime, as you see, there are quite a list. I hope that you will not get tired after listening all of those. But yes, these are the crimes that we are making, is talking to the wall. Whenever we, again, this is related to preparedness or something that we as junior, especially as junior people, if we learn a text all the way how to present the solution, but we don't invest time to adapting the presentation to a particular customer. Let's say you are presenting to some small company that has very limited employees, but you are providing examples of large enterprises. So, well, imagine you have 1,000 customers waiting on the list. And yet this small company, they know that they have like tens of customers only. This way, you might as well be talking to the wall. Your message will not go through and will not reach the audience. Mouse challenged. Let me see if my mouse probably will not be seeing the mouse, but the mouse is the mouse challenge is when we are so scared and feel so uncomfortable that we literally take the mouse into our hand and move it. And then what happens is that whoever is on the other side, either remotely or during the presentation in the room, his eyes are just going following the mouse, following where it's going, because this goes unconsciously. So mouse challenge is something that again we should be aware of, to keep our hands straight and to remember that even though we ourselves might not noticing the things that we do unconsciously, the audience will notice for sure. PowerPoint crutch. This one probably is the easy one, right? The ones who have been presenting or being in conferences, seeing other people present, know this already. Our PowerPoint is only to support us. The goal of the PowerPoint presentation or any other visual presentation that we are not doing is not to kill the audience with the number of slides, with the number of information, with number of words in it. We have to be as clear as possible for many reasons. But for the major reason is that every time we are presenting, we are competing for the attention of the audience. So it's either us as presenter winning the attention or the presentation itself. And another behavioral psychology element says that if we have anything written, the audience will continue reading it rather than listening to us say the thing. So sometimes it's good. We can write and repeat, and this way we strengthen the message. But if we have too much information on, of course, that's when it's different. So here we have covered somewhat the junior consultants, crimes the junior consultants typically are making. I hope, Efrosini and Adam, now you will be more eager to see, so what are the crimes that senior people are making. You mentioned that it's senior people that are making the crimes. So let's see what we have here. Yes, we have quite a list as well for senior people. And these crimes, they differ a little bit in their nature. First crime might be teaching vs demonstrating. This happens, and I assume that you already have an expectation of what I'm going to say. This happens with people who have been on the market so long and who, as consultants, had the role to teach the audience, to teach the customer on how to use the software. Once these people are put on board and asked to demonstrate the solution for the customer, unconsciously they go to the teaching mode, saying how the system should use, as this is very deep in their genes. But it is a crime. And it is a crime from the perspective that when someone wants to buy a solution, and here we are talking about sales presentation, they're not really interested in learning how to do that. An example, if you want to buy a car and you go to the car dealer, the first things that you are interested in is what is the car, what model works best for me, will I be able to ride the car, how many miles, how many fuel will I need, and so on. These are the things that you will be evaluating before making the decision. And then it's only when you made the decision to purchase something in the first place, you would be interested into the how do I do that? So how do I drive it? What is the best way to drive it? And so on. So teaching vs demonstrating, it's about this. Then I love this part of my software. Once I first heard about this crime, I said, no way, this cannot be a crime. If someone is enthusiastic about the solution, about the software he's presenting, no way it can be a crime. And then I read quite many literature and saw quite many examples to understand it is really true. And here is more means that once we are in the sales mode, in the sales presentation mode, we want the customer to make the informative decision and to buy our solution rather than competitors. We actually need to focus the presentation only to focus on the particular customer's needs, regardless whether we like the certain part of functionality, maybe because we have been waiting for this functionality for that many either years to come or months to come, or we have lost so many deals because we didn't have this functionality. If this functionality is not relevant for a particular customer, we do not talk about that. We do not mention. We focus and we add to our presentation only things that matter for the particular customer. The condescending presenter. And probably this is what in the comments what the participants have assumed. Sometimes we had a situation where senior people, they are so advanced on IT level, on solution level, that they fail to understand not everybody is on the same level. So unconsciously, of course, not willing to do so, they align the other side by getting a little bit arrogant or by losing uh, uh, what is the name for this, losing not the temper, the word that I'm looking for, but something where I say, okay, no longer I can explain this thing to you, I've tried many times, I see you don't get it. So in a bit slighter way, but this is the word I'm looking for in English to say. So this is, again, if we see that we are losing ourselves, if we see a little tension coming in, we should get back. Technobabble. Oh, no, not finishing a thought. This is when we start to say something and then we remember, oh, no, there was another thing that I really wanted to show. And this is such a cool thing. And we do not complete our sentence, but we continue. And we can, in the end, we confuse the customer completely. Technobabble, things that we use, that we understand and we are so good and familiar with, but not everybody are they clear. Not to everybody these things are clear. Some shortenings and we love those shortenings, right? The one who has been working in Microsoft world for that many years, we are used to acronyms, and understand each other from very short things that it's a common to use on the market. But while we talk to customer, we should be avoiding that. Cutting off the question. Again, something that is familiar to senior people, more to senior people than junior. You hear the question and you know that you have heard this question so many times before. 9 customers out of the last ones you have presented the solution have asked the same question. So before letting the other side complete the question, you jump in and say, I know what you're looking for. This is the answer. Wrong way. We will have a little bit more on question side later, but this is not the correct way to do. Cutting off the question is not the strategy you should have. You have to answer. For the senior people, they feel they're obligatory to answer every single question that they receive. Again, for junior people, if they receive a question that they're not sure with the answer, most likely they will skip and unconsciously will proceed the recommended way. For the senior people, it's insulting not to know the answer. So, and sometimes, of course, you get into trouble either for losing the time or the attention of the customer while you look for the answer and that you can't find it. The hamster wheel. This is when we come to the meeting related to the answers. Customer is so eager to know everything about the solution. They keep asking questions, one question, second questions, double checking. And suddenly you feel that you have run out of your agenda. Suddenly you are on the customer agenda and you are like this hamster in the wheel, not going anywhere yet answering the questions. Again, the confused customer is something that awaits for you once you finish such a demonstration. Arguing with a customer. What do you think? Is that okay to argue with a customer? Someone says, I want to delete data from my from the accountancy. Do you say, no way, you cannot do that? Do you enter the negotiation or arguing mode with your customer? Even though, yes, I support the opinion that we need to be professional. And by all means, we should provide our customer with the recommended way, with legal ways, and to assure what are the best practices and why it is good that he does the things in a certain way. In reality, there is no gray line here. Arguing with a customer is forbidden. Period. Lefters, I see comment, the condescending presenter could also be said as the presenter appears as superior to the rest of the audience, which is not good. Of course, this is exactly, very well said. This is exactly what condescending presenter is. He feels a little bit above the audience, and that's alliance the customer and the audience in general. So I have covered quite many demo crimes. Then we have some good stories, some that you could follow as a recommendation. Answering questions. So how should you answer questions? How should you manage the audience? The general rule is there are no stupid questions. Even though we say there are great questions, there are the ones that we are waiting for the audience to ask. There are good questions that go in alignment with our presentation. There are questions that no one has even had the right to ask them. They are not in alignment with the presentation. In reality, we as a presenter should treat every question as a good question. And either we come back to this later or we cover that during the presentation. But we don't make too much time on those. We say we manage our agenda, and if we feel that we got into the hamster wheel and we don't know how to get out, we stop the presentation. We see, okay, dear audience, I see that you have too many questions. Let's write down all the questions and see if these questions will be or will not be covered during the presentation today, as I see that we are getting a little bit off agenda. So in a nice way, we try to handle that. Write it down. Simple yet a powerful tool. When you get a question that you don't know the answer to, write down this question. This way, you will provide a clear message to the audience that you are acting professionally and that you are planning to come back with the answer. Dealing with unexpected situations. So what do? You start the presentation and suddenly computer shuts down, or the solution is not running, or the error appear. What do? Especially the senior people in the call. I can share some tips while you type your experienced ways. Use humor. Uh, Use stories. While something is going on, share some, tell how what you have expected the system to do. Basically, don't freak out. This is technology. Things do happen, but we as presenters need to be prepared for this. Lying. Lying is forbidden in the presentations. They say liars have short legs, and this proverb goes for everybody. You might go with lying once, maybe twice, but in reality, you would be ruining the reputation, and it will not lead you to anywhere. So we stay professional, and we stay to what a solution can or cannot do. Adam says, when I have a problem in a demo, I called it as a special functionality called demo effect. Yeah, that's what I sometimes call it. That's a very good demo presentation effect, demo effect. Sure. Thank you, Adam, for sharing. Teamwork while presenting. Another, there are quite many tips included. So what do we do with it while presenting in a team? And one of the best examples is picture your team as a football arena. You are in the football match. The one who has the match, the ball, the one controls the goal. You cannot make the goal unless you have the match. The same is true with demonstration. You cannot speak unless you have been provided with the power or with the right to talk. And how does that, why is it is important? It very frustrates the audience when there are like 2 or 3 people presenting, salesperson, let's say, and pre-sales consultant, and you don't know who is in charge. It's salesperson talking and then pre-sales talking, and then you get lost. So just like in football, if we want to get basketball is more maybe a good example for me coming from Lithuania, but still let's keep to the football. If you want to make a goal, you signal either by holding your hand or by, I don't know, shouting, I am free, give me the ball, and so on. But you wait for your team members to pass the ball to you. This is true for presentations as well. If you want to add something to what your colleague is saying, you should some kind of make a signal to your team so that he says, yes, I see my colleague, Inga or Pavel or Martin would like to add something. And then literally you are getting this authority to speak up and add to what your colleague is sharing. Remote demonstration, a subject in itself. So how do we engage? How do we prepare ourselves? How do we structure presentation? Even though it looks like it is much easier to demonstrate the solution in a remote environment, in reality, the ones who have tried it already, we know it's harder. We don't see the expressions, the facial expressions. We don't see how audience is reacting, which means we have to be much more formalized than less formalized than in the live environment. So as you see, quite many list of demo crimes added. This was the major bunker of this software demonstration practices skills that we are typically covering, as every single demo crime that we covered is the subject in itself. It takes time to get recognized on when I am making a bad habit. And of course, it takes time to get rid of the bad habits. Bad habits, like with all the other habits that we have not in presentation, they have the tendency to show up. So getting rid of them, it's not an easy task, but once we get rid of them, of course, this is when we get on this little bit extra improvement side. So we have covered the first section, demo crimes. Now let's look on how do we structure the demo presentation. So, and this is probably the most important part of solution demonstration, and the one that I find the most difficult to explain on what is the idea. The good way to think about structuring the demonstration is to think about the movie. Just like in the movie, you have opening, you have act one, then you have some kind of story involved in the middle, and then you have the closure. So our goal is the same goal as movie director has, that we want the audience to feel good about themselves once they leave the audience, and we want them to share the message with others after they leave the theater. That is our presentation. Before we go into that, I would like you to remember three very generic truths about our brain. If we want our message to stick, that is, if we want the audience to remember what we're saying, first of all, we need to pass, any message needs to pass the reptilian brain, the most primitive brain that we as human species have. And this is related to fear. Unless we overcome fear, no way our message can stick. Then we have limbic system. This is attention. And attention doesn't care if anything is good or bad. It will react equally. Either we are doing some kind of good habits, I will share some examples, or we're doing some bad habits like clicking the pocket or money in the pocket. This will attract the attention only in the negative way. And then we have neocortex, which is remembering. And the remembering is that we only remember things that we can associate ourselves, something that we as professionals forget quite easily during the presentation. So just like a movie director, this is the scheme that I tried to put on how do we build, how do we make it structure. So of course we have opening for the whole demo. Then we think, okay, so what are my demo scenes? The ones that I will tell my story about in the middle will be. And then we think of the closing scene that goes with my story. And tell, show, tell, which is the core. If there's one thing that I would like you to remember is the tell, show, tell technique. This is that when we enter the software demonstration, before showing certain functionality, first we tell in our own words on what the audience will see, will get, and then we show the functionality, and it's only, and then we complete with certain benefit. So telling what are they going to see, then actually showing the solution, and then completing the loop with the benefit on why such an functionality was important for them, why what they saw is important for them. So if we take, let's say, Business Central, and this is complete out of space example, because you as professional can pick any topics, any themes that you like, but themes make it really easier to present the software. Let's say you decide that your opening theme will be working smarter. not opening the overall. So working smarter, you start with the opening line, then you have as a demo scenes, you want to provide examples on assuring higher customer quality or managing vendor relationships. Oh, I have two examples of managing vendor relations. I did plan to put something else. So we have demo scenes, and this is our starting point. So we have opening, and we have an idea of what the demo scenes are like. Then, as for the next step, we go a step further and we work on the demo scenes. So, okay, let's say that for the first one, assuring higher customer quality, we are going to, just like with the whole presentation, we will have an opening scene for this demo scene, and we're going to have a closing demo scene, which means we will have some kind of story about assuring highest customer quality. How is it now? What do we expect once the solution is implemented, and so on. We build some kind of opening, and then we have sub scenes in the demo scene. Later on, we work on these sub-scenes. And for each the sub-scene that we have, let's say we say, okay, for assuring highest customer quality, we will need to look at the invoicing process, we will need to look at the payment process, and we will need to look whether we can identify upsell opportunities for our customer, for this particular customer. Then, once again, we take every single piece of this sub-scene and we wrap up this in the tell, show, tell sequence. So this is where you are in the software demonstration already. And to provide an examples on how does this tell, show, tell loop works, for the opening, for the tell, you have the options whether you provide the preview of the solution. So, dear customer, now I'm going to show you how invoicing process works in Business Central. Then you actually show the functionality, and then you conclude with benefits. As you saw, this will enable you to even more assure your customers are happy, will let you be proactive, will let you avoid mistakes, and so on. You come up with some kind of very simple benefits that will wait after the solution is implemented. And once you complete all the sub-scenes, then you complete the demo scene. You summarize with some kind of value benefit that the joint sub-scene matters will cause. So this sounds complicated, but in reality, it's not that much complicated. And the structure, if you once you get used to the structure, why is it good? You see different colors in the table, and this is not because of a reason. This is a very good way for the team play. The ones in orange can be delivered by the pre-sales consultant, whereas the ones in the blue, that is opening scene and the closing scene, this is where we say examples of other customers, or we conclude with benefits. This could be delivered by the salesperson. So now we don't have salesperson appearing in the beginning of the presentation and doing their company presentation and then saying, hope you liked what our pre-sales consultant showed. This is a very good structure for the teamwork, a very balanced structure for this. Now, there's also one question that I like to ask during my workshops. So, who can you influence with your presentation? And with this, different people respond differently. Some people say, top managers. If I present the software solution, the top managers will be impressed and I will influence them. Then others say it may be operational people. They will like the solution. They will know that this is the solution they're going to work for the upcoming years, and I will influence them. The correct answer, though, because this is a tricky question, is that we can influence only the ones who sit in the audience. No way can we influence any others who haven't attended our presentation or our demonstration. And the value pyramid that you see here is aimed to attract or influence everybody who is in the seat. For the operational people, these are the benefits, the very small benefits that we would be ending after single subscene item that we deliver. This is a very particular operational benefit that they will hear, and that they might decide, okay, the solution is for me, looks like it's an easy solution or a valuable solution. They only care about whether it's better, their life will be better or worse. Then we have top management, who will most likely be listening more attentively to these value claims. They will be interested, so okay, what will the solution grant me in the future? Will it help me get the company to the next level? Will it help me grow in the next 5 years? And if we are adding this emphasis on the opening and the ending of the overall presentation, then we are getting to the attention of the top managers. And in the middle, there are middle managers, the one who are interested in the processes. That is the demo scenes that we will have opening on how other companies have made it better, have improved their processes, or closing scenes, demo scenes on what values did they reached after the solution was implemented. So this was demo structure. I would encourage you to think about the principle. It might sound difficult, but in reality, it's the basic principles are the same everywhere. In the books, in the movies, you have the opening, you have the closing, and then it's the way how we make the balance and how we make these loops, that we don't show too much of the software at one time, and that we don't wait too much to provide benefits that the software provides for the customer. So we have completed the second step of the demo presentation. I hope you are still with me, and I hope that it makes sense. If you would like to say, yeah, this is something I was waiting for, or the tips are very good, please give me a shout. I am a salesperson. I like good words, to hear good words, and that the tips I'm sharing are valuable for the audience. The third yet the area that we are going to look for this difference, for this impact causing, is engaging the audience. So how do we do that? There are various techniques, but these are all of the techniques I'm pretty sure you know about. It's adding visuals, PowerPoint, flip chart, whiteboard. We as an audience, we get tired of listening only, so we need some visuals to support our story. Clear roadmap. What is the roadmap? It's knowing where are you going, and knowing when I am going to be there. It's like if you are in the new city and your friend says, just follow me. It will be very hard for you to follow. In our presentation, the same. If customer doesn't know where he is going or how much time is left, it will be much harder to follow. And if you look at my presentation today, you will notice, I am sharing that with you as a tip, that every time I complete a section or some kind of area, you will see the check mark. And also you are able to track how many more sections are waiting for you. So this is my roadmap, and this is what I recommend you to do as well. Then another from the keyboard. Again, consultants, this is something that they really like doing. They feel uncomfortable, so they just hide under the computer, feeling I am safe here. So untether yourself, get in front of the audience, of course, if you are not in the remote mode, and get all the attention on yourself. Switch to black screen when you are presenting the opening and closing. Again, not in the remote world. In the remote world, you might want to stop the presentation so that you are straight looking into the eyes of the audience. Call in names. Everybody likes to hear their names. So call in names of the audience to keep the engagement alive. And constantly check a limbic system. And limbic system, the one that I already mentioned a little bit before, it likes to the sound, like any change. Something needs to be changing. Scientists say every 20 minutes. Either sound, we start speaking slowly or more silently, or we put video on, or there has to be movement. We go to the whiteboard, we write something on it. Suddenly the limbic attention is triggered, and this is the attention is grabbed, and once again audience can continue. So this was the tip from the engaging the audience. Unless you find a way how to keep your audience occupied, your audience, your customer will be thinking on, is it the time to pick up the kids from school or kindergarten already, what I'm having for lunch, and etc. So we want the audience to be focused on the solution. The fourth area, so we just completed the engage the audience. The fourth area that I wanted to draw your attention to is opening and closing. Remember, I shared you the example of the movie, right? And what happens in the opening of the movie? You sit down in the chair, the curtains go down, go off, and then there is an action. Something happens right away. Something is murdered, or there is a car accident, car crash, and so on. Something happens right away. Our attention is triggered, and we want to keep looking and to understand what has happened. Then this intro is left for a while, and we continue to be involved in the story, in some prehistory, what happened, and so on. And in the end, again, all the points come to an eye, and suddenly we realize how the dots come together. This is exactly what we want to do with our presentation as well. So, what are the good techniques to have a good opening story? You, as pre-sales people, as salespeople, as experts of the field, you know these stories already. You know the stories of your customers. Use those stories. Use humor. Put some visuals. Make it intrigue story of what it is in life now, and say, okay, let's just us wait till the end, till you hear how the life can be different for you once the solution is implemented. Try out some general limbic techniques. Show passion. Be prepared by all teams. Have some props in your hands. All those grab the attention of the audience. And then, as the ending speech, don't end with a slide, any questions, or a thank you. The ones who work with me in the team know that this is something that I forbid. Every time I see the slide that says, so do you have any questions? Question time, I delete the slide instantly. It's better that you have metrics, summaries, key insights, something that you have just showed your customer about, so that he knows and he has some grounds to ask the questions. Otherwise, he will not be yet sure what to ask. He might have he might have forgotten what he wanted to ask. And of course, call to action. Don't just say, so I hope you liked what you saw. Invite them to have a next step with you. Ask for objections. Say, so did you what exactly did you like about the presentation? Do you find the pricing effective for you? Did you find the story about the customer appealing? Do you think you can experience the same? So any kind of call to action is a good one. Anything just like, I hope you liked what you saw, I will be waiting for your call, is a bad ending. So, opening and closing, we see that happening very often on the market. Partners do terrific job introducing the software, presenting the software, but yet they do not package them in a theme, in some kind of opening and closing, where the software piece was wrapped up in some kind of why is it important for me? The question that is on top of the top managers' forehead. And lastly, I am going to share some building personal brand tips. Stage fright is one of the highest frights, fears that the people have. I even heard it saying that stage fright is even higher than fright of dying, which is insane when you think about it. The people would rather participate and be dead than participate in the funeral and provide a speech in the funeral. But this is the reality. People are afraid of being on the stage. Now, how do we deal with that? Of course, the stage fright is that the more you practice, the better you get with this. There are some exercises that you that can help you breathe and relax and be more comfortable. But the main tip is practicing makes it a skill. Also, managing the voice. This is also related to the stage fright. Every time we are afraid of something, our voice suddenly goes up or is trembling. And I have the same, just like majority of people. Once I am afraid, I get to speak fast. And as you see, I am fast speaking already. But once I am nervous or on stage, my temper just is doubling. So managing the voice, again, there are techniques how you lower your voice, how you get more relaxed, and then you will sound more professional. Um, the truths that diminish you as a presenter. There are three truths that will diminish you as a presenter, and these are truth about yourself. Every time we think, no, I'm such a bad presenter, no one will listen to me, I'm boring, I don't have the skills. This truth will help us become less on what we are. Also, there is the truth about the audience. They are so smarter than myself. They know much more things. They don't find me interesting. They just want to go home and etc. Another truth. And lastly, it's the situation. My company trusts me. My company has provided me this unique opportunity to show demonstration to the customer. If I fail at it, that's it. No longer do we have a chance. No longer can we close a deal. Also, just like we have these three diminishing truths, we have a balance, three truths that will help us or enable us get better of ourselves, that will empower ourselves. So the truth about myself. Uh, my company sent me here, which means I have what to say. I have experience needed. I have customers. I have helped many customers on the way. So I will be able to help at least one person from the audience as well. I am worth listening to. The truth about the audience. They are here to listen to me. They like me. If they most likely they know a lot, but also I can provide them value too. They came to see me, which means they find me interesting and valuable or professional to discuss. And also there is a truth about situation. So what worst can happen in the situation, and what can I learn from that? Picturing the worst scenarios and then picturing, so okay, if the worst scenario happens, what will I as a presenter learn from this, and how can I use that experience or lesson in the future? Practice and preparation makes us more successful. This is the truth that really is a non-negotiable. The more demonstrations you will make, the better you will become at this. And also something that no consultants want to take, you are a salesperson. Every time you are in front of the customer, regardless of what is your role in the company, a developer, consultant, project manager, accountant, regardless of what the background you come from, when you are in front of the customer, you are representing the company and you are a salesperson. You are selling your company. And with this, we actually are ending the overall set. Improving personal skills is not a talent, it is a skill, and everybody can do that. Maybe it will take more time for one person than the other, but eventually practice makes it equal. I hope that you found the tips valuable for you. Thank you, Afrosini, for nice words. You are making my day. Yeah, better interact during the presentation, not at the end. Of course, that's the goal. Then the audience will be engaged all the time. And with this, I would like just to remind that we, as at Companial, wish you many deals to close ahead of you. And if you need help, regardless of what help would you looking be forward to, selling help, development help, training help, pre-sales, or understanding the options that you have with your dynamic solutions, by all means, please address to us and we will do our best to help you out. And again, I would like just to remind you, if you would like to get one-on-one consultation to show Business Central SaaS solution or a Power Platform solution and get feedback or practice, by all means, please write to us, ce@companial.com, and we will come back you with proposed time. Thank you, Noemi. Thank you, Afrosini, Rokas, Svetlin. Oh, now you are talking, guys. Birgit, Ugnius. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be with you today. If there are any questions, I know that we have completed the presentation. If there would be more questions, I would be more than happy to cover them on one-on-one time. Have a great day to everybody.